It is 24 hours to the Joy News National Media Freedom Dialogue on defending media freedom ahead of the December general election. Good afternoon. Welcome to Election Brief. We're live on DSTV channel 421, GoTV channel 125 on all our social media platforms and around the world at myjoyonline.com. Election headquarters is brought to you by Petrosol Platinum Energy, Energizing Dreams, the Chartered Institute of Management Accountants, CIMA, and the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants, together as the Association of International Certified Professional Accountants. It's also brought to you by Chopbox Technologies, a convenient service, and Youth Breed Foundation, bridging the gap for positive youth development. My name is Faustina Safa. We'll be back with details. Thanks for choosing us. We're your home of independent, fearless, and credible journalism. Now we start with the NDC flag bearer, John Dramani Mahama, because he has criticized the NPP flag bearer, Dr. Bawumia, for disassociating himself from what he describes as the failures of the Akufo-Addo-led government, while being quick to take credit for its successes. Speaking at Adan on the first day of his tour of the Greater Accra region, he promised to construct roads and implement measures to develop the tourism sector and salt industry. There's more in the following report by Maxwell Agbagba.
Ashaiman MP Ernest Nogbe singing to welcome the NDC flag bearer to his constituency. It was the first day of phase 1 of the NDC flag bearers tour of the Greater Accra region. John Mahama delivered scathing critique of NPP flag bearer Bawumia's media engagement.
I say we call DVLA. Near call testing one sir. Near who say unim car neka. And say near your license. You know, the intention for doing that media encounter the next day after we had announced our manifesto was to turn the attentions of Ghanaian from the NDC manifesto. When you do something with devious intention, it backfires on you. You know how to tell when somebody is lying. If there are people who are smooth talkers, who can speak rat-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta like machine gun, the time when they become stammerers and they start stammering, you know they are lying. Somebody who can speak ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta like AK-47, suddenly media encounter, I think, the person started stammering, and you can't tell the head or tail. The fundamentals are weak, and then he went logoligi, 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 logoligi.
John Mahama says the NPP flag bearer wants to take credit for the initiatives of this government, but does not want to take responsibility for the failures.
And so I can assure you that sea defense and protecting your shore and your beach will be one of the priority projects that we take care of when we come into office. And he said something that when the budget is presented, whose name is on it? It's the president's name. It's not my name. This is the first time I've seen a vice president running away from his president's track record. Government is a continuum. Government is a whole. Government is a collective. And what we have in democratic government is collective responsibility. You all take collective responsibility for what happened. I was the head of the economic management team under Professor Mills. When the budget was going to Parliament, the budget was in the name of Professor Mills. But I never ever disowned Professor Mills's budget. Because the budget comes to cabinet, we all argue and decide what the budget should be before it goes to Parliament. So you can't sit in cabinet, take decisions on the budget, then when it goes to Parliament, and the economy has crashed and things are not going well, you say, oh, my name was not on the budget. It was the president's name on the budget. And so every good thing in the government, you did it. I did Ghana card. I did this, that. But when it comes to the economy,
At Adan, he was petitioned by the residents to help address their concerns about the salt project there if he's elected.
It gives us the opportunity to express our heartfelt, gross injustice that the current president, Nana Akufo-Addo, has inflicted on us. Of the 2016 general election, we were made known that when we allow the NPP party to come to power, our only livelihood, the Songo Lagoon, will be taken away from us. But we took it as a joke. But lo and behold, they have taken the only livelihood we have from us.
He says he would hold discussions with all the concerned parties for an amicable resolution.
Maxwell Agbawa joins us live with more on this. Maxwell, we know that the NDC flag bearer has also been taking on the Electoral Commission. He says the party has detected some anomalies in the voters' register. Tell us more.
Every year is a year of roads.
John Mahama finished
and they said they've done 12,000 kilometers of roads, more roads than any government in history. I'm asking them on behalf of Bawumia Obom
hearing from him
the 12,000 kilometers of roads.
Some of the questions,
why
some of
haven't
the issues that have come
even
up
a few
strongly,
kilometers come here to Bawumia Obom
constituency is the issue of the voters.
If you take 12,000 kilometers,
John Mahama
it's like
says that
from
the
here
NDC has
to Japan.
detected some
And so if you
anomalies
build roads from
with
here
the
to
voters'
Japan,
roll after
Bawumia
the exhibition
exercise, where is their
He
share of the
says that
12,000 kilometers
voters
of
register
roads?
is an important element of the elections, and for peaceful elections to happen, we need a credible register and not one that will compromise the integrity of the elections. He did not mince words at all.
12,000
the electoral commissioners
and so 12,000 kilometers. So far plane feed
the electoral commissioners
now can say 12,000 kilometers.
The electoral commissioners should wake up and do their jobs properly and understand if things are not going well when it comes to the voters register. And he wants the electoral commission to address the issues with the anomalies. Some of the anomalies he mentioned, he said some persons who were detected as not qualified to be in the voters' roll had their names on the voters' roll, but those names have still not removed. And some persons applied for proxy without using their biometric and data. And the Electoral Commission to address this issue. We know the Director of Elections for the NDC has also been raising similar concerns. But here in Asalajab, he's addressing the crowd, and we can hear what he's saying right now.
Na se mo amado mi abra obom akwan ni bia anka omudi a obi so aya ma omo no anka maintenance kakra anka mo be maintain amakwan no aye yie no eno so mo anye ene hwe sa akwan ya me fa so bai won ka se sa akwan na ye ansa na efi aban no asai kra ezu enso meka che ya hefo se Omunya Rishim, if we say, me wajidie, nyami aduminti, inshallah, 7 December 2024. Ezu, 7 December 2024, nyami aduminti, inshallah, NDC bedin kunim ewa batu onum. Ezu. Na ye din kunim so a me mama me shamo boss ye remfi if you say mene parliamentary candidate akasa waka akwan no ho asem waka district assembly asem waka senior high school asem waka mo polyclinic health facilities asem Ezu yenim se oman no yesika sema say kra enso nyame adumunti NDC ya wama ne mema yebetimi asiesie amagana asanfa ne ntoma paefra Ezu eza nyame bo nipa no obo Adam any Eve obo Eve no or say Adam me be ma wo ahokafo I just say one no ebebo bra enti yemma eye ya ahokafo a nyame bo ma yen so our women are our partners enti baby aye ko e wo say ye ne yemma omoso omoka ye ho na ye ko na wo hwe Ghana ha emma mo abon omo moden pa wo ko edwa so a emma na ton ade se come dey na okasa okoto eduane a 9 out of 10 ebe ye oba na ton eduane no ezu enyuma pi na emma ye se wo ba aban ejuma mu a teacher for bebre ye ma a nurse for bebre ye ma a doctor for bebre ye ma a lawyer for bebre ye ma a minister for bebre ye ma judge for bebre ye ma enti emma etimi enya bebi ejina ewo ejuma bie mu wo Ghana ha enjuma mienu a ekire se oba nye bida efri emre a Kwame Nkrumah eje fa hodie ma ye no ene enjuma mienu vice president any president enso Yesu adomunti nyame adomunti ye betro abakosem if we say by the grace of the Almighty God, you better obey 7th December no, for the first time in the history of Ghana, you benya Obeba beye vice president ewo Ghana. Ezu Nasabai enye se oyo oba nti enye de ne code sa gina bia no oyo oba wa bo ne homodin eyo oba na Ghana ha nyina university aye wo na oba bia nye vice chancellor da on be your first vice chancellor in a public university in Ghana. Eza na Abraham Yamampeyin sa obey and I begin back now Ministry of Education ano obey education minister na Abraham obey education minister what mean who say yama additional exercise for 4 years continuous West Africa exams a year through na Ghana for the first second third Abraham Oyem minister Ezu obey minister now your basic schools basic education now enkwada 9 ena omu yusu book back on textbook back on obey minister abofre bia nya ne textbooks free of charge and 9 abofre bia enya textbooks and 9 Ezu Abraham minister sa e-block community day secondary schools are you see you know or no eneda no are you see sa e-blocks no anya me adoma sa e-block no community day secondary school no ye beba be si ba ko odomi abra oboma Ezu enti sa obey ena mayi no say ɔyɛ me running mate. Na minim sɛ nyame adom nti, inshallah, 7 December 2024, Ghana for any nyame adahoma nti, yɛbɛnya the first female vice president ɛwɔ Ghana ha. Ezu, na me ɛyɛ me dɛ, ebi sɛ ɛyɛ me dɛ sɛ me ba Farida, me nua, me maame, ana obi a ɔyɛ ɔbaa biara ɛkyina bi ɔno nso bɛnya saa akwanya no na wabɛnya saa vice president de bia no etimi egyina. Na me ogidie sɛ nyame ma yɛn nkwa a Ghana ha sɛ nyame ma yɛn nkwa a ɛda bi bɛba a vice president Oba ebedi ɔman so as a president of the Republic of Ghana. Eza nani ya launch your manifesto. Na ye launch your manifesto me announce Jumedie bi ayebeye Operation Recover All the Loot. Yenim say efie wotwe a etwemu yi yeto aba ema ebinu betra abai mu omo amba say omo besom Ghana for omo ba say omo bewi aye ezu enti na wotwe bia wo betia Ghana sikaira na wotwe bia wo beti Ghana sikaira na wotwe bia wo beti obi ne nsa aboye fotom ayi sika.
Away from the NDC, the president of the Ghana Journalists Association, Albert Dumfor, has warned against the rising threats and acts of violence targeting journalists as the nation heads to the polls in December. Speaking at the GJA U.S. Embassy Forum dubbed Journalists for Peaceful Discourse, Mr. Dumfor affirmed the GJA would not countenance any attack on the media and media professionals, stressing that the safety and independence of journalists are non-negotiable. He also urged journalists to be responsible and professional in the discharge of their duties and continue to hold leaders accountable.
To give them the freedom to do their work. Unfortunately, that has not happened under this government. Media people have been hounded, some have run into exile, some have been threatened, their lives have been threatened, and indeed, unfortunately, some have paid the ultimate price, like Ahmed Swali did, you know, and so you can trust that as a person who's a member of the Journalists Association myself, I'm not the kind of person who will hound the media when I'm in office. And so one gift I can give to you is that you'll be allowed to do your work without anybody intimidating and harassing you.
Hashtag defend media freedom. We're just 24 hours away from the Joy News National Media Freedom Dialogue, which will focus on safeguarding media freedom ahead of the December general election. Well, we know that key stakeholders, including the Inspector General of Police, political party representatives and civil society, will gather at the Nat Hall to forge the path for a safe journalism practice. Senior editor and head of our political desk, Evan Spencer, joins us in the studio with more on what to expect. Evans, great to have you here.
Great to be here.
Now, unfortunately, as journalists here at Joy News, we've had our fair share of media brutalities. This is long overdue. It
is, especially if you look at how steeply we're falling on the World Press Freedom Index. In 2021, our position was 30th, which was really good. There was a time actually when in 2018, Ghana was chosen as a hosting base for the World Press Freedom Day, just to reaffirm and to validate our position. It's a country with a strong democratic credentials where journalists go about their work freely. And then you look at 2023, where our rankings have now fallen to 62nd, that tells you that something horribly had gone wrong. We have lost our as much as 32. We've dropped up as much as 32 points down the rankings. That isn't good. You look at the School of Communication Studies survey that it recently did, that shows that at least 40% of journalists told them, their researchers, that they have suffered one form of abuse or assault in the line of work. And you mentioned, and you're right, I mean, some of our own colleagues have been assaulted in the process of just reporting and doing their work across the country. And much of this happens during the electioneering period as we go about our work. So yes, it's long overdue. We've been dropping on the World Press Freedom Index since 2021 to our lowest point of 62nd. Something must happen, it must happen urgently, and this is in response to that.
Let's look at the rich lineup we have. We have the IGP, political party representatives, civil society all coming together. What kind of commitment are we looking at getting from some of them when they come in tomorrow?
And the reason why we have all these stakeholders is that they represent institutions with responsibility to protect, but also to ensure that we work in a safe environment. The IGP obviously is the head of the police service, and the police service is a very important institution in ensuring the safety of this country during the polls, and they have the election security task force. And so we will be operating in zones and in communities, polling stations, and in constituencies across the country, where the police will be mandated to ensure that the poll itself is safe. But if you're policing the poll, you're also policing the individuals who are working within that particular enclave. You're talking about polling station officers, you're talking about the Electoral Commission officers and agents, but most importantly, you're talking about journalists who essentially will be bringing the reports to the rest of the country. And I asked the question recently whilst we were planning this, that imagine that on the 6th of December, journalists decide a blackout on elections across the country, that we're boycotting elections and we're not going to cover it because a lot of our colleagues have been assaulted over the years. Imagine the chaos that this country will be plunged into if there's no coverage of the elections. Everybody is in the dark. So if you're not at the polling station, you don't know what is happening across the country. That is how important. It's almost apocalyptic just to imagine that. And that is why we're bringing all these institutions into the fold. We expect the IGP, and he's been gracious enough to tell us that he will be delivering a keynote address there, his remark to us, but also expressing their own commitments to us at the event. Of course, we're talking about the Ministry of Information representing the government. They have a responsibility there. The Electoral Commission itself, we're working very closely with them. Information sharing is key because in the absence of accurate information or timely information, that vacuum will be occupied by disinformation and sometimes misinformation. And that is what we want to deal with. So the EC is going to be there. The political parties will be there. Often journalists are assaulted, not by the leaders of the political parties, but people who support the parties, the fringe elements. And if you have the party making a public commitment, the signal is sent out there to their millions and millions of supporters to say, when you see a journalist, help them do their jobs and not be a hindrance in their way or assault them. So that's why we have this collection of institutions. The NMC also confirmed will be there. The Executive Secretary himself will be there, George Sapon, or to also give a commitment to us all tomorrow.
What are we expecting to be contained in the final communique? Because I'm sure after this event, we'll be getting some of them to commit to ensuring media freedom. I'm quite concerned about civil society groups as well.
We expect a communique to put out key objectives, goals, and targets for all of us, but also commitments that we can hold people to, not only at the event, but post the event, for the political parties in particular. This is a long period into the elections, but it doesn't end even after the elections. Way after the elections, journalists will go about their job. So we want to use that communique as a tool to hold the institutions and the leadership of these institutions, including the political parties, accountable. And that is what we're looking for. And so we're going to have clear, measurable commitments from all these institutions and the leaders of these institutions, including the political parties themselves, in that document that we will share with them afterwards. And most critically, we will follow up. Now, part of this project that we're doing with the CDD, and this is part of the CDD project that we're working with them on, the Defend Media Freedom Project, is also responsibility of journalists. It's not only about protect us, but we can a license for us to go out there and be responsible. Because if you're irresponsible, then you are actually giving the other person the right, or at least they will feel so, to also then abuse you, right? Of course, abuse is never an answer to anything, even if a journalist is misbehaving. There are laid down processes for that. But we don't want to put ourselves in the place where the public that we are seeking to serve will then perceive us as being irresponsible. So part of this project is also to train the journalists who are going to be out there reporting this year. And so we're going to be training journalists. And as you know, we are going to be working with loads of journalists across the country, journalists we haven't met before, but work in their communities. And we'll be empowering them. And the police will help us train. The Electoral Commission will help us train. We'll bring experts ourselves to share and impact knowledge. So we are responsible in doing a job. And then we can now demand that, you know, the other agencies and institutions respond by being a shield and protecting and defending media freedom wherever they are.
And all this is happening tomorrow at Nat Hall, 4 p.m. How can I be a part of it if I'm watching? You
definitely have to tune in to Joy News. Listen to Joy 99.7 FM. Go onto our social media page because we're going to be live. And if you're invited, you should come to the Nat Hall because you're starting at 4, but you should be seated by 3:30, the latest. So we encourage people to be there. If you believe in the importance of the media and the work that we do, that we cannot have a transparent elections without the media, come there and join the conversation, ask a question, make your own personal commitment. But even before tomorrow, the hashtag is out there, Defend Media Freedom, GH, hashtag. So post it and use that hashtag. And let's all be part of this initiative to protect media freedom.
To be a part of it, join the hashtag on all our social media handles, hashtag Defend Media Freedom GH, and be at Nat Hall tomorrow, 4 p.m. as we have this national dialogue. My name is Faustina Saf, and that's how we wrap up Election Brief. For more news, please log on to myjoyonline.com. Good afternoon.